And welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to episode 41 of Young Justice, War. We begin this episode on Rimbor on April 2nd, where we see a little bit of the Justice League on trial. Superman is speaking on behalf of the Justice League members on trial, and he's trying to explain to the members of the court that the Justice League members who attacked Rimbor all those years ago were under mind control courtesy of the Earth villain Vandal Savage. But he also admits that they still don't know exactly why Vandal Savage wanted them to attack Earth. During the trial, holographic screens reveal news of the Reach invading Earth, which causes many of the spectators to panic. Telepathically, Martian Manhunter questions John Stewart about the Reach, and John Stewart explains that sometime in the past, all the members of the Green Lantern had fought against the Reach in a war, and it eventually ended with the Guardians of the Universe and the Reach signing a treaty that said that the Reach can only invade a planet that they're invited to. And John Stewart mentions that since the Reach have been invited onto Earth, none of the members of the Green Lantern can set foot on Earth for the time being. During the trial, we also find out that Vandal Savage is one of the spectators at the moment, and he's talking to an alien where he mentions that the Reach taking control of Earth means that the Reach would have access to the metagene, because Earthlings have a great potential for the metagene, and that could cause complications for someone who's trying to take over the galaxy or the universe. And the alien seems to take what Vandal Savage says to heart, because he gets up and he walks out of the courtroom, and other spectators seem to recognize this alien because they're stunned silent when they see this alien as he's leaving the courtroom. Next up, we have various scenes that take place over the course of May 23rd to May 25th. And it's showing us the citizens of Earth, the inhabitants of Earth, the heroes, and even the Reach have noticed that a battle station is on its way to Earth. And during these scenes, Green Beetle is telling the heroes about the battle station. He claims that his Scarab was able to access the Reach database, which is how he's able to tell them about the battle station. According to Green Beetle, the battle station is called the Warworld, and right now the Warworld is being controlled by an alien named Mongul. Mongul was the tyrant of his home planet for some time, but then he was usurped by another tyrant. So Mongul somehow managed to get a hold of the Warworld, and he was able to do this when he found the crystal key that powers the Warworld. He also wears a headpiece which allows him to control the Warworld simply by thought. And Mongul, now, the reason why Mongul wants to conquer the universe or the galaxy is because Mongul believes that's the best way for him to reclaim control over his home planet. And the reason he's going after Earth is because he sees Earth as a danger to his long-term plans. The Reach ambassador has a press conference at the United Nations with Sane, and he's telling the press that the Reach only have one spacecraft, the one that was Yeah, the one that's outside the United Nations. And he claims that it's just it's a weaponless, peaceful exploration vehicle. But he says that the Reach will still stand by Earth during this new threat. It takes until May 26th for the. Yeah, May 26th is when the Warworld finally arrives within Earth's area in space. And the Warworld's arrival actually affects the tides on Earth. Captain Atom tries to reason with Mongul or tries to negotiate with Mongul, but Mongul says he's not open to negotiations. And like Green Beetle's intel mentioned, Mongul wants to destroy Earth because Earth under the Reach's control would cause complications for his long-term plans of conquering space. And he says that the Earthlings should really be grateful that he's ending their lives now, because living under the Reach would be worse in comparison. And this is where the heroes set their plan into motion. Several members of the Justice League, Green Beetle, and Batgirl and Robin are fighting the Warworld from outside and trying to defend Earth. While that's going on, several other members of the Young Justice team have infiltrated the Warworld, and that group have split into 3 smaller groups to take care of different objectives. So, one group is Superboy, Wonder Girl, Arsenal, and Wolf, and they're going to confront Mongul himself. Although this proves to be very difficult because, like Kryptonians, Mongul's species are powered by a yellow sun as well. For the second group, Guardian, Bumblebee, and Sphere are trying to head to the power core chamber of the Warworld. And then for the last group, Beast Boy, Blue Beetle, and Impulse are heading to the room where the crystal key is located. So this is going on while the other heroes outside in space are trying to defend Earth. And eventually, it takes a while. There's definitely a lot of complications, but eventually Guardian ends up giving Bumblebee an idea, because Bumblebee's trying to turn off the circuits in the power core chamber, but they keep rerouting to different channels or different circuits. But Guardian's suggestion to reroute the power actually gives Bumblebee an idea, and she does reroute the power core, which ends up causing Mongul's headpiece to overload, so he ends up becoming very fatigued as a result, which makes the group of heroes confronting him, it makes it much more easier for them to defeat and subdue Mongul. And this also allows the other group to claim the crystal key and remove it from its position on the Warworld. So 2 of the groups reunite, and Batgirl and Robin arrive into the Warworld to bring everyone back home in the vehicle that they were using to defend Earth. And the other group who confronted Mongul, they eventually arrive with Mongul, who's unconscious and he's tied up at the moment. But then it's at this moment when Blue Beetle reveals that he's under the Reach's control, and he manages to knock out almost all of the members of the Young Justice team that are aboard the Warworld. Arsenal starts to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, saying he doesn't want to be captured again, so he actually opens up the airlock, saying that he'd rather go through the airlock out into space, then be captured again. But what happens is Sphere ends up being sent out into space, but Blue Beetle closes the airlock before anyone else is blown out, and the rest, before any of the other members are blown out into space. But this does allow Arsenal to actually escape from Blue Beetle, and Blue Beetle, though, has the rest of the Unjustice team members besides Arsenal captured. And the episode ends with the Reach ambassador talking to the Reach scientist in Black Beetle, and he says that's right. Earlier in the episode, the Reach actually had to sacrifice 2/3 of their secret fleet in order to defend the Earth. But he believes that claiming the Crystal Key, and by extension the Warworld, was a great prize in exchange for the sacrifice they had to make. And that's how we end the episode. So this episode introduces us to the Young Justice TV series version, or the Earth 16 universe version of Mongul, and he's voiced by Keith David. And I have to say, he did a great job voicing Mongul. And I would say this episode is starting the trend where the Reach are starting to lose control of the situation, because they lost 2/3 of their secret fleet trying to defend Earth from the Warworld. But what also happened was, because earlier the Reach ambassador told people at the press that, oh, we just have this one space vehicle, we don't have any others. But I'm sure that there were civilian Earth inhabitants that noticed 2/3 of the secret fleet. And we'll actually go more into that in a later episode. But the Reach are starting to lose some of their control, although they do end up gaining control of the Crystal Key, and by extension the Warworld, by the end of the episode. So that does cause some complications. And Blue Beetle has now revealed himself to some of the Unjustice team members, that he's now under the Reach's control. So that does cause some problems as well. And Arsenal, though, he managed to escape, although him opening up the airlock was rather drastic. But you could say that was that kind of shows you just how traumatized he was when he was on ice for 8 years. I mean, that doesn't really, that's not the best way to handle it, but it's understandable. I mean, understanding something and agreeing with something aren't the same thing. Otherwise, we did get to see a little bit about the Justice League on trial. We did get to see, we got to learn a little more backstory for the Reach, and they had a feud with the Green Lantern in the past. And Vandal Savage was actually at the trial. Now, how did he get there and Earth? How did he get there and all the way back to Earth so quickly? Well, most people suspect he probably used a boom tube to do that. Others think that maybe Clarion teleported him there. At least there are some explanations for that, possible explanations. Otherwise, we also we had a little subplot in this episode, which actually, it was a minor subplot, but it was also a minor subplot in earlier episodes of Season 2, but Guardian, or Mal Duncan, the current Guardian, and Bumblebee, we kind of saw over the course of this season that Guardian wanted to spend time with Bumblebee, but Bumblebee had other commitments that made those plans, that made it difficult for them to find some time together. The episode Darkest was probably the previous episode that put that in had more emphasis on that. And the thing I liked about this episode was, like what was the case with Superboy and Miss Martian in Alpha Male, I felt that this conflict, they managed to portray both Guardian and Bumblebee in a sympathetic light. They showed how both sides were very understandable about this, because it's understandable. Sometimes in life, you do have commitments, and it makes it difficult to meet up or spend time with people in your life. And yeah, that's understandable, but Guardian was also understandable in his feelings about not being able to hang out with Bumblebee. And granted, yeah, him complaining about that while they were on the mission, that was not the best way to handle it. But he admitted that he could have handled things better in the end, and he did apologize, and he recognized that Bumblebee is very talented. On the other hand, though, Bumblebee did recognize that maybe she was taking Guardian for granted, and that wasn't right to do either. So that's what I appreciated. They showed both Bumblebee and Guardian in a sympathetic light, and they both came to an understanding, and they were able to mend fences. And that's a good thing. It shows the importance of communication. Good communication helps everyone out. And so yeah, that was the minor subplot of the episode, but otherwise, yeah, this was definitely an interesting episode. This was a case where the heroes, won and lost. They had a victory, but they also had a loss. And the same with the Reach. They had a loss with 2/3 of their fleet, their secret fleet, being destroyed, but they gained a victory by gaining control of the Warworld. And the episode did show just how dangerous the Warworld is as a battle station, and having the Reach having it under their control, that's bad news. So, yeah, there we go. That's we've now discussed episode 41 of Young Justice on this channel. Take care, and until next time.